Welcome to another weekly forecast, traders. Looking at the DXY first. For the first forecast, you can see the last couple weeks we clearly broke this downward trend line, and we have seen nothing but strength, pretty much all green candles here. And so with that being said, it's not unreasonable to suggest we could see a minor pullback just solely based on the fact that we have, pushed up so far. I still think we have much profit margin up to daily supply at 104.01. I think we easily could push up to that supply zone on the daily chart, and that is as we come off of this overall weekly demand zone here, weekly support area. Support and resistance is not the same as supply and demand. So I do think this is somewhat of a temporary move to the upside off of this support, and I think we will actually retrace to the downside back below the 99.5 area down to the daily, down to this weekly demand zone that I've had on the charts for quite a bit. But it doesn't mean we won't push up to that daily supply zone that I was just talking about. And why am I overall bearish on the DXY? Well, it's because if you look at a 12-month chart on the screen right now, you can clearly see the 12-month supply zone, which is the highest supply zone we can look at, is in control. So when a 12-month supply zone is in control, sure, it's not going to make a difference on a 1 minute or a 5 minute time frame, but sure enough, on the weekly and the daily chart, it will definitely make a difference. So that's why I think since this 12-month supply zone is in control, I think we will be pushing down to the downside, and that this momentum we're seeing on the daily chart is just kind of temporary at this time until maybe we hit the daily supply at 104 and then we react to the downside. It is possible as well, looking at the monthly time frame, we do push up to the monthly area of supply. These are the next two key areas I'm looking at, waiting to see what happens around them. If we push up to the monthly supply zone, we will obviously be bearish. If we push down to the monthly demand zone, then we have to switch to bullishness here on the DXY. But what I'm going to be watching next week on the 4-hour time frame is if we can push down here, create some sort of nice valley and a higher high, then we'll have actually a nice looking 4-hour trend to the upside, which will definitely signal strength. Yes, this is looking strong, but it's looking like, we could run out of gas soon. That's why I'm looking to see a pullback and a higher high there. If we do pull back and we get a downward trend line, then I'm going to have to be bearish on the dollar. But a little bit tricky right now. Hopefully me showing you guys the macro time frames is kind of giving you guys that bigger picture here on the DXY. On to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. You can clearly see here we are inside of this daily demand zone, and we are clearly reacting off of it right now as we have not broken it. And really quick, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as we come off this daily demand, we could expect to see the move from daily demand to daily supply 1.11. So yes, we could kind of fill in this space right here. It is certainly possible, and we have already gotten one stage of evidence to suggest we could be going up. And what that is we had a nice 1-hour downward trend line. You can clearly see clear valleys, peaks, lower lows being formed. We had that downward trend line, and we just recently broke above the downward trend line. Now, I won't say that this is a great move up. I don't really even see any demand in here that we can maybe even look for longs off of, but what I will say is since we have broken that downward trend line, that is basically the first stage, the first sign to suggest we could be going up on the Euro US dollar. What I would like to see is a nice 1-hour trend to the upside, something like this, where you have a clear peak, valley, and higher high, which would give us that 1-hour trend line. If we can get that, then okay, at that point I'll be pretty bullish on the euro. Then we can add in day trading longs and at a higher odd situation. What I will say right now is yes, you could be looking for day trading longs in the Euro US dollar. I'm just not really seeing anything on the 1-hour time frame. As far as the 4-hour chart goes here, you can clearly see we have this pretty decent drop-based drop 4-hour area of supply at 1.10. I think it's a great area to look for a short trade if you are bearish. That's really the only short I'm seeing at this time. Since we broke the 1-hour downward trend line and we broke above it, I don't really like the idea of looking for shorts on a 5-minute time frame. That's why if you are bearish, I would at least just wait for this 4-hour supply zone to be hit, and then we can look for shorts in here. You can even look for day trading shorts in there as well. It might even be a little bit better to look for day trades inside of there. Now, if we do push up, break this 4-hour supply zone, and we have a 4-hour demand zone there, that would be a picture perfect confirmation entry model. So I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but since the daily demand zone is in control down here, it indicates that, hey, the daily demand is in control. We could start to see price rally up. So if we do that and we break this significant 4-hour supply, look how strong this 4-hour supply is, right? So if that gets removed, especially if we see a move off of it like this and then it gets removed, if it becomes proven supply like that, any 4-hour demand zone there would be amazing confirmation. So I'm basically just going to be playing it off of this 4-hour supply zone. Might look for maybe a quick short trade off of it, and if we remove it, any 4-hour demand zone there, that would be our trade. So honestly, the safest bet, especially if you're swing trading, is going to be revolving around this 4-hour supply zone to see if it holds or to see if it gets removed. And like I said, guys, the daily demand is in control right now, so we kind of have to go with that to potentially get in long up to 1.11. If the daily demand gets removed, then okay, then we have to, you know, change our bias here on the euro US dollar. But in the meantime, I'm going to be remaining bullish, especially since we've broken this 1-hour downward trend line on the euro US dollar. Alrighty, on to the forecast for gold, XAUUSD. Just want to remind you guys, we have a beautiful weekly trend to the upside. All shorts are essentially counter trend, so all shorting is risky, guys, but longs are good to go. So just wanted to point out that weekly chart. On the daily time frame here, just doing a simple top-down approach. We clearly were pulling back the last week or two, and it looked like we were going to pull back into this drop base rally area of demand on the daily chart, but we stopped out here. I'm not saying we won't pull back down to there yet. I still think it's possible, but I mean, look at the last couple days, right? It's been nothing but green and gold. So it's kind of unfortunate. I was really looking forward to a pullback down to that daily demand to get a nice swing trade off of, but it is what it is. I'm not going to get worried about, you know, if price pulled back to my area or not. There's nothing you can do about it. And as far as the 4-hour time frame goes, you can clearly see here we had a 4-hour supply zone that was removed. And I was actually talking to members in the daily market breakdown videos, and I was saying, basically last night, or depends on when you're watching this, but price was pushing into the supply zone on the higher time frame. We were looking for a confirmation trade, which would mean demand zones being removed and supply zones being created. And I pointed out this 15-minute demand zone, and I said, once this 15-minute demand zone gets removed, any supply zone up here, that will be our confirmation short trade. And look at what happened. We respected it once, not only twice, and we got a huge move to the upside off of the zone. So at that point, there was no confirmation. And that is the power of supply and demand. This is what we learn in the classes that I teach. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links in the description down below. So now that we've removed this 4-hour area of supply, what do we do now? Well, clearly the 4-hour supply is removed. It looks like we are getting a 4-hour demand zone formed right here. If this candle closes up here, that red candle that we're seeing right now, we will have some sort of 4-hour demand zone located where I just drew it. It's not a great zone. I would like to see more of a move up, maybe even break a high and then a pullback to the 2645 area. But if that happens, look, even if we don't get a pullback all up to there, we just maybe push up a little bit, I still think it's a decent 4-hour rally-based rally demand zone to look for longs off of. And if you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, a stop, and a take profit above, that's okay. You could just look for maybe a 15-minute confirmation trade long inside of there, basically what I just pointed out on the 15-minute chart. So I like that area for potential long trades. And then if we do even, let's say we don't even get a pullback and we push above here, break an all-time high, any demand zones there at that point will be good for longs as well. But it is longs all the way, guys. There is kind of some support area down here. So if we do get a pullback down to the 25.97 area, I like it for longs as well. The only issue with this zone is that the daily zone is just a little bit lower. So waiting for the daily zone might be a little bit better. But in the meantime, we do have a 4-hour zone here. Maybe we still got another hour and 27 minutes left in this candle. But it looks like it is forming a demand zone. And it is longs all the way here, guys. Any zones that you see, I like it. I like it for longs, especially since the weekly time frame's up, the daily time frame's up. And look, even if we do break below the 4-hour zones I pointed out, who cares? We have beautiful daily zones here we can get in long at as well. So I actually welcome a deeper pullback. As far as shorts go, I don't see anything for shorts. Usually I like to point out both sides. Like if there's a nice supply zone above, I'll be like, hey, there's a nice supply zone above. If you are bearish, that would be the only place I'd be looking for shorts. I don't see any of that right now in gold. So I would just be holding off on shorts and just pretty much just being patient and waiting for zones to be formed and waiting for pullbacks to zones here on gold. onto the forecast for the USDJPY, and starting with the daily chart here, just want to point out we are reacting off of the daily supply again for the second time. We've already reacted off of it once. It was a beautiful drop-based drop supply zone. We did peak above it, so I think we could see maybe a small move to the downside, but I just want to point out if we do break this supply, where I think we are headed in the short term is up to 152.70. I think it's a great area of daily supply up there, and maybe even in the long run all the way up to the weekly supply at 156. So this move we are seeing might be that bigger retracement in the weekly supply zone to then get a move to the downside. I just feel the need to point that out as far as the higher time frames are concerned. As far as the 1 hour time frame goes, we did break this 1 hour upward trend line. That's okay, because even if we do get a pullback, we have a nice little rally demand at 146.76. That is the nearest area of demand that I will be looking for longs at on the 1 hour time frame. And as far as the 4 hour chart goes, we still have a nice 4 hour upward trend line. You can see very beautiful higher highs being formed, and even if we do get a deeper pullback down to this rally demand at 144.31, I think it's a great area to look for longs on the 4 hour time frame. So even if that 1 hour zone gets broken, that's fine. We have a 4 hour zone down below that is really good, that I think we could definitely see a move off of to the upside, something like that. So I would have that zone on my charts on the USDJPY. Of course, yes, you could be day trading long as well on a 15-minute time frame only. I wouldn't really go any lower based on that 1 hour upward trend line being removed, and it might be best to risk less, like I said, because the daily supply zone is in control. So it might be time to usually risk 1%, maybe risk 0.5% based on the higher time frame supply being in control. But I mean, I don't want to say all signs are pointing to the upside, because we don't really have a daily trend or a weekly trend. It's just kind of going sideways, but the 4 hour trend is looking strong. So it could be an indication that we do pull up to the 156 area on the USDJPY. So have those zones I talked about on your charts and go from there. And of course, day trading longs are going to be preferred, like I said, on the 15-minute time frame. And just be patient. Wait for these zones to be pulled back into. Don't just hop on price on a 1 hour time frame. If you're going to hop on price now, it's got to be on a day trading time frame only. If not, be patient, wait for the zones on the 4 hour and the 1 hour time frame to be hit. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the GBPUSD, and I'll be completely honest with you guys, I'm not seeing a lot in this pair right now. It's a little bit tricky. I've been telling the members in the daily market breakdown videos, guys, we have to be a little bit cautious trading this one, and here's why. Because we have on the daily chart, we have a supply zone and a demand zone on the daily time frame. This is equilibrium. This is the middle of the supply and demand as far as the higher time frame goes. Now, how do we know where price is going, right? Okay, well, we have to go to like an H4 time frame and an H1 to see the trend when we are in the middle. And when we go to that, right, if we look at on the lower time frames, the 1 hour chart, I'm not really seeing much. We actually had a demand zone form right here kind of after the fact, and it broke a downward trend line on the 1 hour time frame. So it's not really clear. We don't have a 1 hour downtrend. Even on the 4 hour chart, okay, momentum is down. I will definitely, I'll definitely admit that momentum is down on the 4 hour time frame. We don't really have that 4 hour downward trend. What I mean by that is there's not really any clear peaks or valleys like this where we can feel comfortable calling it a trend. It is just momentum. And so what do we do here, right? It's tricky. Honestly, I wouldn't really be trading it at this time until we can, at least on the 1 hour time frame, get a nice 1 hour trend to the upside or to the downside. Like, I don't feel comfortable trading it. As far as the 1 hour chart goes, if we push up, create a 1 hour trend to the upside, okay, then we can look for longs. If we break this demand zone, break the low, then that means the H1 downtrend is continuing, and then we can continue to look for shorts on a 5-minute time frame. And where I think price could be headed long term is down to this weekly zone. It's a beautiful demand zone down at 1.28. We almost pulled back down to it, rallied up. I said it's definitely possible we still pull back down to the zone. Looks like we could be getting that at this time. So if we do break that 1 hour downward trend line, there's tons of profit margin to the downside to 1.28 on the weekly chart of the British pound. So again, monitor the 1 hour time frame trend and then go from there. That 1 hour time frame trend is really going to show you guys if we're going to pull up to daily supply first or down to daily demand first. But until that trend is formed, we really don't know the direction here on the pound. I'm not going to do these forecasts and just say, oh, look at this trading setup, it's picture perfect, right? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not just trying to sell you hopes and dreams. I'm being honest with you guys. I'm just not liking this at this time. So wait for a 1 hour trend to continue. At that point, we have a very clear weekly and daily zones that we can look forward to seeing pullbacks to. On to the forecast for USDCAD. This is where my country I'm from. Where are you guys from? Let me know in the comments down below. As far as the daily chart goes, we did remove daily supply. And look at the move we've seen here. It's just pretty much straight up. There is a couple 50% candles here, but ultimately, the move up has been really strong. The issue I'm having with the USDCAD is there's no fresh daily supply above, which is fine. Let's go one time frame higher. Let's go to the weekly chart. I'm not really seeing any fresh supply above either. There is this tested weekly supply from all the way back in 2020 that we've been seeing a reaction off of once already and basically twice. And it's kind of a clear area of resistance here at this point. So if we do continue up, I think we will actually push above this and then drop. So just be mindful of that. There's just not a lot of higher time frame analysis to go off of here, guys, if I'm being honest with you guys. On the 4 hour chart, we at least have a 4 hour trend to the upside, but look at how, just look at this trend. It's just pretty much momentum. It is technically a trend, but it's just mostly momentum. It's been stair-stepping up and up and up, not really creating a lot of zones. There is a 4 hour zone down at 1.371. If you want to look for longs there, it's a semi-decent rally-based rally. Not loving the move away, but we could see a move off of that zone to the upside. I do prefer day trading longs on this pair at this time because the trends are strong on the 4 hour and the 1 hour time frame, but it's mostly momentum. That's why I prefer the day trading longs, guys. But honestly, wait for the 4 hours to be contacted. Look for confirmation there. That might be your best option on the USDCAD, and just be careful, right? The trends they're strong, but they're not too strong. It's kind of a weird situation. Not a clear direction either on the weekly or the daily chart. So who really knows what's going on? Just take this chart with a grain of salt. Honestly, I think there's many better pairs out there to be trading, in my opinion. On to the forecast for the AUDUSD. This is a pretty interesting one here. You can see on the daily chart here, we have a beautiful daily picture perfect upward trend line and trend. And you can clearly see here, we are testing that trend line. In my opinion, it is still being respected. So I'm not really that bearish yet on the Aussie. If we do close below this trend line, then okay. At that point, we got to hang up the skates and say, hey, the trend line was broken. We can't really remain bullish at this point. So not much to go off here in the daily chart. It could go either way. As far as the 1 hour trend line goes, pretty nice 1 hour downward trend line here. Not super relevant, but if it holds, we could continue to look for shorts on a 5-minute time frame. That's really all I'm seeing on this 1 hour time frame. I'm just not seeing any supply zones here based off of my chain analysis that I do regarding supply and demand. However, if we do get a pullback up to this 4 hour supply at 0.68, it's a decent area to look for a potential swing trade short. Now, if the daily trend holds, even if we do get a pullback up to here anyways, I'm not saying that this zone is going to be responsible for pushing price all the way back down to the lows on the Aussie, but it is a good drop-based drop supply that I think we could see a move off of, and if we break that, then okay, then at that point we can continue to look for longs. Now, if you are bullish on the Aussie, which I'm not gonna lie, I am. We have a clear area of support down below, and I'm not interested in that support area. What I'm interested in is this fresh demand zone that's lower down the 4 hour time frame. So if we do pull back down to that 4 hour demand, I think it's a great swing trading opportunity down at 0.668. So again, if you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop, and take profit above, that's fine. You could just look for day trades in there. Basically, what I mean by day trades is look for confirmation, and the overall risk reward to the nearest supply zone on the 4 hour time frame will be a 4-to-1, which is fantastic. But if you narrow that down, you could turn that into an 8-to-1, basically double it if you look for confirmation. So could be playing both supply and demand on the 4 hour time frames here. Ultimately, the 4 hour demand zone is better based off of that daily trend, but honestly, both could work. We could see moves off of both. So make sure you have 2 of those 4 hour supply zones and demand zones on your chart here on the AUDUSD. On to the forecast for the USDCHF. This is another tricky looking chart. We clearly were going sideways here for quite a bit, and the last couple days we have broken above that sideways price action. We have clear profit margin up to this tested supply zone at 0.87, so we could continue to see the USD Swiss continue to go up. And even on the weekly time frame, we have an even better drop-based drop supply zone on the weekly chart at 0.883. So there is tons of profit margin to the upside. However, on the 1 hour time frame, we had a beautiful upward trend line here, picture perfect, and the trend line was just recently removed right now. So if we do break below these lows, at that point we will have a 1 hour downward trend line, and then H1 downtrend means we could look for shorts on a 5-minute time frame. So if this takes place, shorts will be fine on a 5-minute time frame. I cannot stress that enough, but we have to definitely see this low removed first. So if we remove that low, like I said, we'll have the downward trend, and then 5-minute time frame shorts on the day trading time frames are going to be good. In the meantime, we have a nice 4-hour upward trend line here and an upward momentum. This trend line that I'm about to draw, it is getting a little bit aggressive here. And actually it is removed. I didn't even really realize that, which has actually left us with a 4-hour area of supply above. So if you are bearish, this would be our 4-hour supply zone short up here at 0.859. That is the only shorting opportunity that I am seeing unless we break that 1 hour downward low there, like I said. But that's the only supply zone I'm seeing right now on the charts. Now, let's say we push up, break this supply zone. That's fine. We'll have another upward trend line here. And at that point, any demand zone that breaks this supply zone will be good for longs. So basically, all your trading should revolve around this 4-hour supply zone at this time, especially since it did break an upward trend line that is definitely significant. So it's a good little 4-hour area of supply that we could look for shorts off of here on the USD Swiss. And like I said, if we break that supply zone, then it might be that we are heading up to weekly supply that I pointed out earlier. So all the trading should revolve around that 4-hour area of supply, and then the riskier setups, like I said, is if we create that 1 hour downtrend, then you could maybe look for shorts on a day trading time frame. Last but not least, we are on to crude oil. If you guys want help with trading psychology, make sure to check out my trading psychology podcast. Just did an episode with a fellow trader, and there's a lot of helpful insight in that. So check it out anywhere you get your podcasts. Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast by me. So looking at the weekly chart here, remember, just want to point out the overall trend is down. So don't get too twisted with this upward momentum we are seeing. The overall trend is still down. Of course, the trend could end, but just a reminder that the trend is down, so shorts, are a little bit preferred. However, on the daily chart here, you can clearly see we are ping-ponging between supply and demand. We had a nice push up, react off of it, down. Nice reaction to the upside off the demand zone. So now we are pushing back up. So there's not a lot to go off of here on the daily chart, kind of just going in between. Even on the 4-hour time frame, we had a nice 1 hour supply zone. It was pretty much pierced above, looked like some sort of stop hunt. I don't know where this is going. What I will say is if we do create a low here, create a nice 1 hour trend line, I'll have that on my charts for all the members, and then 5-minute time frame longs will be good. As far as the 4-hour chart goes, we point out this 4-hour demand zone last week, I believe, in the last weekly Forex forecast, and if not, it was in the daily market breakdown videos. But nice move off that demand zone so far, so that could indicate strength and that we might be going up. So with that being said, what do we do now? To me, we have to hold off. We already got the move off the demand zone up here, right? There might be some setups throughout the week, which is why I do the daily market breakdown videos. But until then, we got to wait to see what happens on the 1 hour time frame here. Can we create a 1 hour trend to the upside? Then we could look for longs. But until then, guys, we kind of have to be a little bit patient here. And that's kind of the nature of this entire weekly Forex forecast, is patience, guys. So it's really going to test you this week, especially on a pair like crude oil. Yes, the weekly trend is down, so shorts are preferred, but I mean, with the daily trend breaking to the upside and the daily demand zone being respected, that could definitely signal that we might be breaking that downward trend on the weekly chart. And if you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.